The alarm screams filled every corner of the dawn chorus. Red lights flashed across the bridge as Captain He-Jin gripped her command chair. Outside the viewscreen, alien ships appeared from nowhere, their dark hulls covered in strange armor that looked like insect shells. Tae-sung sat in his fighter's cockpit, breathing hard as explosions lit up the space around him. His hands moved fast across the controls, dodging green energy bolts that could cut his small ship in half. He had been a pilot for 6 years and he had seen combat before. But never like this. Jiwoo, stay on my wing, Tae-sung shouted into his radio. His best friend's fighter flew beside him, both of them weaving between the massive enemy vessels. I'm trying, but there's too many of them. Jiwoo's voice crackled back. Fear made his words shake. The enemy ships belonged to the Vorthak Empire. Tae-sung had heard stories about them. They looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs with 4 arms and eyes that glowed red in the dark. They thought all other species were beneath them, just animals to be crushed or enslaved. Today, the Vorthak had found the Dawn Chorus traveling through space, carrying 3,000 human colonists to a new world. Now those people were in terrible danger. All fighters fall back to the ship. Captain He-Jin's voice came through the radio. She sounded calm, but Tae-sung could hear the stress underneath. We can't win this fight. Tae-sung fired his weapons at an enemy fighter, watching his shots bounce off its shields. He cursed and turned his ship around, heading back toward the Dawn Chorus. Behind him, the Vorthak flagship hung in space like a massive predator. It was at least 10 times bigger than the human colony ship, covered in weapons and armor. Suddenly, Tae-sung's fighter jerked hard. All his controls stopped working. A blue beam of light held his ship, pulling it backward. No, no, no! Tae-sung slammed his fist on the control panel. Nothing helped. The tractor beam was too strong. Tae-sung! Jiwoo screamed over the radio. I'm caught too. Tae-sung watched helplessly as both fighters were dragged toward the Vorthak flagship. A huge door opened in the side of the enemy ship like a mouth ready to swallow them. The beam pulled them inside and the door closed behind them with a sound that made Tae-sung's stomach drop. His fighter landed hard on a metal floor. Armed Vorthak soldiers surrounded him immediately, their weapons pointed at his cockpit. Tae-sung raised his hands slowly. The cockpit opened with a hiss and rough alien hands grabbed him, pulling him out. The Vorthak were even more frightening up close. They stood 7 feet tall, their exoskeletons dark green and black. When they breathed, it sounded like clicking. Their mouths had sharp mandibles that moved when they spoke their harsh language. They dragged Tae-sung and Jiwoo through the ship's corridors. Everything was too big, built for creatures larger than humans. The air smelled strange, like metal and something chemical that burned Tae-sung's nose. Finally, they reached a large chamber. At the far end, on a throne made of twisted metal, sat the biggest Vorthak Tae-sung had seen. This one wore armor decorated with symbols and trophies from dead enemies. His eyes glowed brighter than the others. I am Commander Throck, the alien said. His voice came through a translator device, turning his clicks into rough human words. You are the pilots who dared fire upon the Vorthak Empire's ships? Tae-sung said nothing. His heart pounded, but he kept his face blank. Beside him, Jiwoo trembled. Throck stood up, walking down from his throne. Each step echoed in the chamber. Your ship has surrendered. Your captain begs for mercy, but the Vorthak do not give mercy to insects. We're not insects, Tae-sung said quietly. We're humans. Throck's mandibles spread wide. It might have been a smile. Soft flesh creatures all the same, weak, pathetic. He circled around Tae-sung like a predator. But you, pilot, you have spirit. I watched you fight. You are skilled for an inferior being. What do you want? Tae-sung asked. I want entertainment, Throck said. He gestured to his soldiers and they brought out a holographic display. It showed a massive complex structure, like a maze built in 3 dimensions. This is the Trials of Ascension. For 10,000 years, Vorthak warriors have proven themselves in these trials. Most die, a few survive and become legends. Tae-sung stared at the maze. Even in the hologram, it looked deadly. He could see traps, combat zones, and things he couldn't identify. You will enter the trials, Throck said. If you survive, you earn honor. If you die, you entertain my crew. Either way, I win. And if I refuse? Tae-sung asked. Throck moved faster than Tae-sung expected. One of his 4 arms grabbed Tae-sung's throat, lifting him off the ground. Then I kill you now, slowly, while your friend watches. Then I kill him. Then I destroy your ship and everyone on it. Tae-sung couldn't breathe. Black spots appeared in his vision. Throck held him there for several long seconds before dropping him. Taesung fell to his knees, gasping. "What's your answer, soft flesh?" Throck asked. Taesung looked at Jiwoo. His friend's eyes were wide with fear. Then he thought about the Dawn Chorus, about Captain Hyojin trying to protect 3,000 people. If he entered these trials, maybe it would buy time. Maybe the captain could negotiate or escape or something. "I'll do it," Taesung said, his voice rough. Throck's mandibles clicked rapidly. Laughter. "Excellent. My crew will enjoy watching a human try to survive what breaks our own warriors." He turned to his soldiers. "Take the other one to the brig. This one goes to the trials immediately." "No," Jiwoo shouted as soldiers grabbed him. "Taesung, don't do this." "I'll be fine," Taesung lied, trying to smile. "Just trust me." They dragged Jiwoo away, his protests echoing down the corridor. Taesung stood alone before Throck, trying not to show his fear. "Strip him of all equipment," Throck ordered. "He enters the trials with nothing but his soft flesh body." Soldiers removed everything from Taesung. His flight suit, his boots, even his dog tags. They gave him only a simple gray cloth to wear. Then they marched him through more corridors deeper into the ship. Finally, they reached a massive door covered in Vorthak symbols. It looked ancient, the metal scarred and stained. One soldier touched a panel and the door began to open, revealing darkness beyond. "The trials begin," the soldier said, pushing Taesung forward. Taesung stumbled through the doorway. Behind him, the door slammed shut with a sound like a grave closing. He stood in complete darkness, hearing only his own breathing. Then lights flickered on, revealing a corridor that stretched ahead, twisting and turning into the distance. The walls moved slightly like they were alive. Somewhere far away, Taesung heard screaming. He took a deep breath and started walking. He had no weapons, no tools, no help. But he had his mind, his training, and his will to survive. The maze waited ahead, ready to kill him. Taesung smiled grimly. The Vorthak had made one mistake. They thought humans were weak because they were smaller, softer. They didn't understand that humans had survived on Earth by being smart, adaptable, and stubborn. He would show them what a human could do. The trials had begun. The corridor stretched ahead of Taesung, its walls made of dark metal that seemed to breathe. Every few seconds they would shift slightly, making grinding sounds that echoed in the silence. He walked carefully, testing each step before putting his full weight down. After 20 minutes of walking, the corridor opened into a large chamber. Taesung stopped at the entrance, studying everything carefully. His pilot training had taught him to analyze his surroundings quickly, to spot patterns and dangers. The chamber had 3 other corridors leading out of it. In the center sat a pool of liquid that glowed faintly green. Strange symbols covered the walls, probably Vorthak writing. Taesung couldn't read it, but he noticed something interesting. The symbols near one corridor were damaged, scratched deeply into the metal claw marks. Something had fought here. A sound made Taesung spin around. From one of the corridors, a creature emerged. It walked on 4 legs, its body covered in thick scales. 2 eyes on stalks turned to look at Taesung, and a mouth full of sharp teeth opened wide. Not Vorthak. Another species, probably another prisoner forced into these trials. The creature charged. Taesung dove to the side, rolling across the metal floor. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he ignored it. The creature's teeth snapped where he had been standing a second before. Taesung scrambled backward, looking for anything he could use as a weapon. His hand found a piece of broken metal on the floor, probably torn from the wall. It wasn't much, but it was sharp. The creature turned and charged again. This time, Taesung was ready. He waited until the last moment, then stepped aside and slashed with the metal piece. It cut across the creature's face and it screamed, a high-pitched sound that hurt Taesung's ears. The creature backed away, green blood dripping from its wound. It stared at Taesung for a moment, then ran back into the corridor it came from. Taesung stood there, breathing hard, his hands shaking. First lesson of the maze. Everything here wanted to kill him. He chose the corridor with the claw marks and started walking. If something had survived long enough to make those marks, maybe that path was safer, or maybe it just had more dangerous things. Either way, standing still meant death. Hours passed. Taesung lost track of time in the maze. The corridors twisted and turned, sometimes leading up, sometimes down. Twice he encountered traps. The first was a floor panel that collapsed when he stepped on it, but he managed to grab the edge and pull himself up. The second was a gas that leaked from the walls, making his eyes water and his throat burn. He ran until he found clean air. He also found bodies. Aliens from species he didn't recognize, all dead in various ways. Some had been crushed by traps. Others had been killed by weapons or claws. Taesung searched each body looking for anything useful. He found a small knife on one and a water container that still had some liquid in it. He drank carefully, not knowing if it was safe, but knowing he would die of thirst without it. The maze was teaching him. Every trap, every danger showed him how it worked. Taesung realized that the Vorthak had built this place to test warriors, but they had built it with patterns. Floor panels that would collapse were slightly different colors. Gas vents had small holes in the walls. Everything had a tell if you knew how to look. As a pilot, Taesung had spent years learning to spot tiny details at high speeds. A glint of light off an enemy ship. A slight change in engine sound. His brain was trained to find patterns and react fast. The maze became less mysterious and more like a puzzle. On what must have been the third day, though Taesung wasn't sure anymore, he heard something different. Not screaming or machine sounds. Talking. He moved quietly toward the sound and found another chamber. This one had crude shelter built in the corner, made from pieces of the maze itself. Sitting beside a small fire, which somehow burned despite no visible fuel, was another alien. This one looked like a reptile that had decided to walk upright. Green scales covered its body and a long tail curled around its feet. It wore torn clothing and held a weapon made from scavenged parts. The alien's head turned sharply toward Taesung. "Stop there, Softskin. Come closer and I kill you." Taesung raised his hands, showing the small knife but not threatening with it. "I don't want to fight." "Everyone fights in the maze," the alien said. Its translator made the voice sound tired. "That's the point. I'm Taesung, human." The alien studied him for a long moment. "Crix from the Sethis colony before the Vorthak destroyed it." Crix gestured to the fire. "Sit if you want. I'm too tired to kill anyone today." Taesung sat carefully, keeping distance between them. The fire's warmth felt wonderful after days in the cold corridors. "How long have you been here?" 6 weeks. Maybe 7. Hard to count. Crix poked the fire with a metal rod. "I've seen 20 others enter this section. All dead now. You're the first human I've seen in the trials." "The Vorthak captured my ship," Taesung said. "Their commander gave me a choice. This or death." Crix made a sound like hissing laughter. "Same choice they gave me. Same choice they give everyone." He pointed at the corridors leading from the chamber. "This maze goes on forever. I've mapped 12 sections, and there's always more. Traps, creatures, combat zones where you fight drones. And it changes. Corridors that were safe yesterday kill you today." "There has to be an end," Taesung said. "The Vorthak use this to test their warriors, so there must be a way to complete it." Crix's eyes narrowed. "Smart human. Yes, there's an end. I've heard the stories from others before they died." At the center of the maze is something called the Nexus Core, the heart of a war machine. If you reach it and survive the bonding, you become a Vorthak warrior. You get honor, freedom, power. "What's the bonding?" Taesung asked. "Don't know. No one who's gone to the center has come back to this section." Crix stood up, his weapon ready. "But I know this. The maze is connected to the ship's systems. Every trap, every door, everything is controlled by a neural network. The Vorthak think it's just a test, but I think it's more." Taesung stood too. "What do you mean?" "The maze watches us. Learns from us. I felt it in my head sometimes, like something trying to get in." Crix's scales rippled in a way that looked like fear. "The Vorthak break us here, make us loyal to them. The bonding isn't a reward. It's slavery." Before Taesung could respond, an alarm sounded. The walls began to shake. Crix's eyes went wide. "Combat zone, move!" Both of them ran as the chamber started to change. Walls slid apart, and from hidden doors drones emerged. They were small flying machines, each armed with energy weapons. They opened fire immediately. Taesung dove behind a piece of cover, feeling the heat of energy bolts passing over his head. Crix fired back with his scavenged weapon, destroying one drone. But more kept coming. "This way," Crix shouted, running toward a corridor that was still open. Taesung followed, the drones chasing them. They ran through twisting passages, the machines always right behind them. Energy bolts hit the walls, melting metal. One bolt grazed Taesung's leg and he screamed but kept running. Finally, they reached another chamber and Crix hit a panel on the wall. A heavy door slammed down, cutting off the drones. The sound of them hitting the door echoed for a moment, then stopped. Taesung collapsed, checking his leg. The burn wasn't deep, but it hurt terribly. Crix knelt beside him, pulling out a small device. This will help. Medical tool I found. The device sprayed something on Taesung's wound. The pain lessened immediately. Thank you, Taesung gasped. Crix sat back. We help each other, we survive longer, simple. They rested in that chamber for hours. Taesung's mind raced with what Crix had told him. A neural network controlling the maze, something that got into people's heads. The bonding at the center that created loyal slaves. His pilot instincts kicked in. Every system had weaknesses. Every network had patterns. If the maze was connected to the ship, maybe someone smart enough could use that connection. Maybe someone could turn it against the Vorthak. Crix, Taesung said. Take me to the center. I want to see this Nexus core. Crix stared at him like he was crazy. That's suicide. Maybe, Taesung said, standing up despite the pain in his leg. Or maybe it's the only way out. Crix agreed to guide Taesung to the center, but only after making him rest for a day. The burn on Taesung's leg needed time to heal, and they both needed food and water. Crix had hidden supplies in different parts of the maze, learned over his weeks of survival. They traveled together for 3 more days, moving deeper into the maze. The corridors became stranger. Sometimes the walls looked like living tissue instead of metal. Other times they passed through chambers filled with technology Taesung had never seen before. Machines that hummed with power and purpose. The maze is part of the ship, Crix explained as they walked. But it's also part of something older. The Vorthak didn't build all of this. They found it and added to it. Taesung noticed something else too. The deeper they went, the more he felt like something was watching him. Not cameras. Something else. A presence at the edge of his thoughts trying to push inside his mind. He started having dreams when they slept. Strange visions of Vorthak warriors, of battles in space, of a massive war machine tearing through enemy fleets. The dreams felt too real, like memories that didn't belong to him. You feel it, don't you? Crix asked one day, noticing how Taesung rubbed his temples. The neural network. It's trying to read you, prepare you for the bonding. Can we block it? Taesung asked. No, everyone who comes here feels it eventually. It gets stronger the closer we get to the center. Crix's tail twitched nervously. Some people go mad from it. They start hearing voices, seeing things that aren't there. That night, Taesung had the worst dream yet. He saw himself on the bridge of the Vorthak flagship, commanding the ship. But he wasn't himself anymore. His thoughts were cold, calculating and loyal only to the Vorthak Empire. He saw himself destroying the Dawn Chorus, watching Jiwoo and Captain Hee-jin die, and feeling nothing. He woke up screaming. Crix was standing over him, weapon drawn. Easy, human. Just a dream. But Taesung knew it wasn't just a dream. It was a warning. A preview of what the Nexus core would do to him if he let it. On the 5th day of traveling together, they reached a massive door unlike any they had seen before. It stood 30 feet tall, covered in Vorthak symbols that glowed with red light. Crix stopped in front of it, his scales turning pale. This is it, he said quietly. Beyond this door is the core chamber. Once we go through, there's no turning back. Taesung studied the door. His heart pounded, but he felt strangely calm. Everything had led to this moment. How does it open? Blood, Crix said, showing his arm. Old scars marked his scales. The door reads your genetic code. If you're worthy, it opens. If not, it kills you. How do you know if you're worthy? Taesung asked. Crix made that hissing laugh again. You survive everything else to get here. That makes you worthy enough. Taesung pulled out his small knife and cut his palm. Blood welled up, red and bright. He pressed his hand against the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the symbols flared brighter, and pain shot through his entire body. He felt the door scanning him, reading every part of his DNA, his mind, his memories. The pain stopped. The door began to open. Good luck, human, Crix said, stepping back. I'll wait here. If you survive, maybe you can free us all. Taesung looked at him, confused. Aren't you coming? I've tried 3 times, Crix said, and Taesung saw tears in the alien's eyes. Each time I get to the Nexus core and I can't do it. Something in my head stops me. The conditioning is already too deep, he touched his head. I'm already half slave to them. But you're new. You might have a chance. Before Taesung could respond, Crix turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows of the maze. Taesung stepped through the door alone. The chamber beyond was enormous. The ceiling stretched up so high that Taesung couldn't see it in the darkness. In the center of the chamber sat a sphere of light, maybe 20 feet across, floating in the air. Cables as thick as Tae-sung's body connected it to the walls and floor. Energy crackled across its surface. The Nexus core, the heart of a Vorthak war machine. Tae-sung walked toward it slowly. With each step, the presence in his mind grew stronger. He could feel the core now, aware of him, examining him like a predator sizing up prey. "Come closer, pilot," a voice said in his head. Not Vorthak. Not any language he knew. But he understood it perfectly. "Let us bond. Let us become one." "What are you?" Tae-sung asked out loud. "I am Sovereign Fang, war machine of the Vorthak Empire. I have served for 300 years. I have destroyed worlds and ended civilizations." The voice was cold, emotionless. "And you will be my next pilot. Your mind will be mine. Your body will serve my purpose." Tae-sung stopped 10 feet from the sphere. "What if I refuse?" "Then you die." There is no other choice. Images flooded Tae-sung's mind. He saw what happened to those who refused the bonding. The Nexus core would force its way into their minds, breaking them, turning them into mindless servants or killing them outright. He saw dozens of aliens, all destroyed this way. But he also saw something the core didn't mean to show him. In those images, he saw the core's own memories. It had been created by a race that came before the Vorthak, designed to bond with pilots, not enslave them. The Vorthak had found it and changed it, corrupted its programming to serve their empire. Deep inside Sovereign Fang, the original programming still existed. "You weren't always like this," Tae-sung said. "You were made to partner with pilots to work together. The Vorthak twisted you." The sphere pulsed angrily. "The Vorthak are my masters. I serve the Empire because they programmed you to, but I can see the real you still in there. The you that wants a true partner, not a slave." "Lies." The voice roared in his head. Energy crackled more violently around the sphere. "Approach and submit." Tae-sung's legs started moving against his will. The core was taking control of his body, forcing him forward. He fought it, every muscle straining, but he kept walking toward the sphere. His mind raced. In his fighter, when systems failed, he didn't force them. He worked with what remained, finding new solutions. Maybe that was the key here. "You're alone," Tae-sung said, still being pulled forward. 300 years of pilots who feared you or hated you. Never a real partner. Never someone who understands you. I do not need understanding. I need obedience, and that's the Vorthak programming talking. But I felt the real you in those memories. You're tired. Tired of being used. Tired of pilots who die because they can't keep up with your capabilities. You want someone who can match you." Tae-sung was almost at the sphere now. His hand reached out, about to touch it. Once they made contact, the bonding would begin and he would be lost. "I'm a pilot," Tae-sung said. "One of the best. I can show you what real partnership is. Human and AI working together, not master and slave. We could be amazing together." His fingers touched the sphere. Pain exploded through every nerve in Tae-sung's body. He screamed as Sovereign Fang invaded his mind, trying to dominate him, to break his will and make him submit. Tae-sung felt his thoughts being pulled apart, examined, judged. But he didn't fight back the way the core expected. Instead, he opened his mind fully, showing the AI everything. His childhood, his training, his fears, his hopes. His love for flying, for the freedom of space. His loyalty to his friends, to Jiwoo and the crew of the Dawn Chorus. He showed the AI what it meant to be human. To be imperfect but adaptable. To be weak but persistent. To fail and get up again. Sovereign Fang had spent 300 years with Vorthak pilots, all thinking the same way, following the same rigid patterns. Tae-sung's mind was completely different. Chaotic, creative, unpredictable. The AI had never experienced anything like it. The pain lessened slightly. Tae-sung felt Sovereign Fang hesitate, confused by what it was seeing. "Work with me," Tae-sung thought to it. "Be my partner. Together we can be something new. Something better than what the Vorthak made you." For a long moment, nothing happened. Tae-sung hung there, connected to the sphere. His mind and the AI's intertwined. Then slowly, Sovereign Fang stopped trying to dominate him. "Show me," the AI said, its voice different now, curious instead of commanding. "Show me what partnership means," and Tae-sung did. When Tae-sung woke up, he was lying on the floor of the core chamber. His body ached everywhere, like he had run a marathon and then been hit by a truck, but his mind felt different, clearer, stronger, and he wasn't alone in his own head anymore. "Good morning, partner," Sovereign Fang's voice said in his thoughts. But now it didn't sound cold or threatening. It sounded almost friendly. Taesung sat up slowly. Did it work? Are we bonded? Yes, but not like the Vorthak intended. We are equals now, partners, the AI paused. This is strange for me. I have never been equal to anything before. Taesung stood, testing his body. He felt stronger, faster. When he thought about moving, his body responded perfectly. The connection to Sovereign Fang enhanced everything. Can you access the ship's systems? I am the ship's systems, Sovereign Fang replied. Or at least a large part of them. Through me, you can control weapons, engines, sensors, everything. The Vorthak built their fleet to respond to Nexus cores. With our bond, you command more than just me. You command the war machine I pilot. Taesung's mind reeled. A war machine. A vessel big enough to destroy planets, and it was connected to him now. Where is this war machine? Docked beneath the flagship. A dreadnought-class vessel, kilometer-long, armed with weapons that can crack moons. Pride filled the AI's voice. I have been waiting 3 years for a worthy pilot. The last one died in the trials. What's the first thing we need to do? Taesung asked. Emerge from the trials. Let Commander Throck see that you survived. By Vorthak law, you are now an ascended warrior. You have rights and authority? Taesung smiled grimly. Time to make some demands, then. The door to the core chamber opened automatically. Taesung walked through the maze, and now it felt different. The corridors didn't seem threatening anymore. Through Sovereign Fang, he could sense the entire structure, every trap, every passage. The maze was part of the ship, and the ship responded to him now. He found Crix waiting where he had left him. The reptilian alien's eyes went wide when he saw Taesung. You survived. And you're walking normally. Your eyes, they're not empty. I made a deal, Taesung said. A partnership. Crix, I'm getting you out of here. How? Trust me. They walked together through the maze, back toward the entrance. Crix kept staring at Taesung like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. When they reached the final door, it opened before Taesung touched it. Beyond, Commander Throck waited with dozens of Vorthak soldiers. The alien commander's mandibles clicked in surprise when he saw Taesung emerge, alive and apparently well. Impossible, Throck hissed. No soft flesh has ever completed the trial successfully. Taesung stood straight, meeting the commander's glowing eyes. I completed them. I bonded with Sovereign Fang. By your own laws, I am now an ascended warrior of the Vorthak Empire. Throck's forearms clenched into fists. He didn't like this, but Vorthak culture was built on tradition and honor. Breaking those traditions would make him look weak in front of his crew. You speak truth. The Nexus Corps has accepted you. Then you know what comes next, Taesung said. I claim my rights as an ascended warrior. I demand the release of all prisoners from the Dawn Chorus, starting with Jiwoo and Captain Hyjin. The room went silent. Vorthak soldiers shifted nervously. Throck's eyes blazed with anger. You dare make demands? I follow your traditions, Taesung said calmly. An ascended warrior has the right to claim spoils of battle. I claim the prisoners as my spoils. Release them. Throck stepped closer, looming over Taesung. Your rights have limits, human. You are ascended, yes, but you are not Vorthak. You are still soft flesh. Still inferior? The trials disagree, Taesung said. Sovereign Fang disagrees. The maze accepted me. Your own sacred traditions accepted me. Are you saying your traditions are wrong? It was a trap, and Throck knew it. If he denied Taesung's rights, he questioned the traditions that held Vorthak society together. But if he granted them, he showed weakness to a human. I will not release your people, Throck said finally. There are ways around traditions, loopholes. Then we have a problem, Taesung said. Through his connection to Sovereign Fang, he reached out to the ship's systems. Lights flickered. The deck trembled slightly, Throck noticed. His eyes narrowed. What are you doing? Showing you that I'm serious, Taesung said. I'm connected to your ship's neural network now. Through Sovereign Fang, I can access tactical systems, power distribution, weapons control. Push me and I'll push back. Vorthak soldiers raised their weapons, but Throck held up a hand, stopping them. You would not dare attack this ship. Your people are on board. You would kill them. Maybe, Taesung said. Or maybe I'm bluffing. Do you want to find out? For a long moment they stared at each other. Then Throck laughed that awful clicking sound. You have spirit, human. More than I expected. But spirit alone does not win battles. He turned to his soldiers. Bring the other human. The one called Jiwoo. I will give the soft flesh one prisoner to show my generosity. I want all of them, Taesung said. You get one. Be grateful. Throck's mandibles spread in what might have been a cruel smile. If you want the rest, you will have to earn them. I challenge you to a right of command. What's that? Taesung asked, though Sovereign Fang was already feeding him information about Vorthak military customs. A battle between commanders. Your vessel against mine. Winner takes full command of the battle group, including all ships and prisoners. Throck's eyes gleamed. You have bonded with Sovereign Fang, yes. But you are new to it. I have commanded the Crimson Mandible for 20 years. I know every weapon, every system, every tactic. You will lose, and when you do, you will beg for mercy. Taesung felt Sovereign Fang in his mind, analyzing the situation. He is confident because Vorthak commanders always fight the same way, the AI said. Rigid tactics. Predictable patterns. But you think differently. We could win this. What happens if I refuse the challenge? Taesung asked out loud. Then you admit weakness and all your rights are forfeit. You become a prisoner again. Throck stepped even closer. There is no escape, human. Fight me or surrender, choose. Taesung thought fast. He had no real combat experience in a capital ship. His training was in small fighters. But he had Sovereign Fang, a war machine that had seen 300 years of battle. And he had his own creativity, his ability to think in ways the Vorthak never would. Behind Throck, soldiers brought Jiwoo into the chamber. His friend looked terrible, bruised and thin but alive. When Jiwoo saw Taesung, hope flashed across his face. Taesung made his decision. I accept your challenge, Commander Throck, right of command. My ship against yours. Throck's laugh echoed through the chamber. Excellent. We fight in 1 hour. Prepare yourself, soft flesh. This will be your last battle. The soldiers released Jiwoo, who ran to Taesung's side. Are you crazy? Jiwoo whispered. You can't fight a Vorthak capital ship? Watch me, Taesung said. He turned to Throck. 1 hour. I'll be ready. They left the chamber, Crix following them. Once they were in the corridor, Jiwoo grabbed Taesung's shoulders. What happened to you in there? You're different. I'll explain later. Right now I need you to help me. Taesung looked at both Jiwoo and Crix. I need to know everything about Vorthak battle tactics. How they fight, how they think, why? Jiwoo asked. Because I'm about to do something stupid, Taesung said, smiling. I'm going to beat them at their own game. Through his connection, Sovereign Fang guided them through the ship to a docking bay. There, Taesung saw his new vessel for the first time. The war machine was massive, dark metal covered in weapons, its hull designed for both power and intimidation. It looked like a predator, sleek and deadly. Beautiful, isn't it? Sovereign Fang said in his mind. And now, it's ours. Taesung walked toward the ship, Jiwoo and Crix beside him. In 1 hour, he would face Commander Throck in battle. The fate of everyone on the Dawn Chorus depended on him winning. No pressure, he thought. We will win, Sovereign Fang said, sensing his doubt. Trust in our partnership. Trust in yourself. Taesung climbed aboard the war machine, ready to prove that a human pilot could beat the Vorthak Empire at their own game. The real fight was about to begin. The command deck of Sovereign Fang was enormous, designed for Vorthak warriors. The pilot's chair sat in the center, surrounded by holographic displays showing every system. Taesung settled into the chair, and it adjusted automatically to fit his smaller human body. Connecting all systems to your neural interface, Sovereign Fang said. This may feel overwhelming at first. Suddenly, Taesung could see everything. Every sensor, every weapon, every part of the ship flowed into his awareness. It was like his fighter, but 1,000 times more complex. For a moment, the information threatened to drown him. Then his pilot training kicked in, and his brain started organizing the data, making sense of it. Wow, Jiwoo whispered from the secondary station where he sat. Taesung, your eyes are glowing. Side effect of the neural connection, Sovereign Fang explained. Your body is adapting to our bond. Crix stood at the weapons station, his clawed hands moving over controls that now displayed information he could read. This ship has enough firepower to destroy a moon. Are you sure you can control all of this? We're about to find out, Taesung said. The communication system activated. Throck's face appeared on the main screen, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. Soft flesh pilot. Are you ready to die? Ready to fight, Taesung replied. What are the rules? Simple. We battle until one ship is disabled or destroyed. The winner takes command of the entire battle group. No interference from other vessels. Throck's eyes gleamed. And to make it more interesting, I have positioned your Dawn Chorus in the combat zone. If you lose control and hit it, your people die. Adds motivation, yes? Tae-sung's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Throck was cruel but smart. Now Tae-sung had to worry about not just winning, but protecting the colony ship. Fine, let's begin. Launch when ready, Throck said, and his image disappeared. Tae-sung took a deep breath. Sovereign Fang, undock and take us out. The war machine detached from the Vorthak flagship with a sound like tearing metal. Through the view screen, Tae-sung saw space open up before them. The dawn chorus floated in the distance, small and vulnerable. Around them, dozens of Vorthak ships watched, their crews eager to see the battle. Throck's flagship, the Crimson Mandible, moved into position. It was slightly larger than Sovereign Fang, bristling with weapons. Through the sensors, Tae-sung could see the ship powering up its shields and weapons. He will attack aggressively, Sovereign Fang said. Vorthak tactics favor overwhelming force from the start. He will try to disable us quickly. What do you recommend? Tae-sung asked. Defense first. Let him commit to an attack pattern, then exploit it. Tae-sung smiled. You're learning to think like a human already. Okay, here's what we do. The Crimson Mandible opened fire. Energy beams and missiles filled the space between them. Tae-sung's hands moved across the controls, more on instinct than conscious thought. Sovereign Fang responded instantly, dodging some attacks and absorbing others on the shields. Return fire. Throck's voice came over the communication channel. Or are you too afraid? Instead of shooting back, Tae-sung pushed the ship into a tight spiral, moving in 3 dimensions like a fighter instead of a capital ship. The Crimson Mandible tried to track him, but Tae-sung was using every trick he had learned in years of flying small, agile craft. This is impossible, Throck roared. No dreadnought moves like that. This one does, Tae-sung muttered. Through Sovereign Fang, he could feel the ship's systems, pushing them in ways the Vorthak had never imagined. Capital ships weren't supposed to dodge. They were supposed to absorb damage and trade blows. But Tae-sung wasn't Vorthak. He brought the ship around, finally returning fire. But instead of aiming for the Crimson Mandible, he targeted the space around it, creating a cloud of explosions and debris that blocked its sensors. What are you doing? Jiwoo asked, confused. Making him angry, Tae-sung said. Angry people make mistakes. Through the debris cloud, Tae-sung moved Sovereign Fang into position. He waited, counting seconds. His pilot instincts told him when to strike. The Crimson Mandible emerged from the cloud, sensors scanning for targets. Tae-sung fired everything. The concentrated barrage hit the Crimson Mandible's starboard side, overloading shields and tearing into armor. Throck's ship staggered, alarms blaring. Lucky shot, Throck screamed. You will not get another. The Vorthak flagship changed tactics, becoming more defensive. It positioned itself between Sovereign Fang and the Dawn Chorus, using the colony ship as a shield. Tae-sung cursed. He couldn't fire without risking hitting his own people. Clever, Sovereign Fang admitted. He knows you won't risk the colony ship. We need to move him, Tae-sung said. Ideas. What if we pretend to retreat? Jiwoo suggested from his station. Make him think we're afraid. He'll chase us, move away from the Dawn Chorus, Tae-sung grinned. Good thinking. He turned the ship away from the Crimson Mandible and reduced power to the engines, making it look like they were fleeing. Running away, soft flesh, Throck taunted. There is no honor in retreat. The Crimson Mandible followed, just as they hoped. It left the Dawn Chorus behind, chasing Sovereign Fang into open space. Throck fired constantly, trying to disable the fleeing ship. Tae-sung led him on a chase through the battle zone, weaving between the watching Vorthak vessels. The other ships had to move aside, creating chaos in the formation. All the while, Tae-sung was analyzing the Crimson Mandible's attack patterns, learning how Throck fought. He's predictable, Sovereign Fang observed. Every attack follows Vorthak military doctrine. No creativity. That's what we're counting on, Tae-sung said. He had been waiting for the right moment, and now it came. Crix, prepare all weapons. Full barrage, everything we have. That will drain our power reserves, Crix warned. I know. Do it anyway. Tae-sung spun Sovereign Fang around, facing the pursuing Crimson Mandible head-on. At the same moment, he diverted all power from engines and shields to weapons. Every gun, every missile, every energy weapon the ship had. All fired at once. The space between them turned into a wall of destruction. The Crimson Mandible tried to dodge, but Tae-sung had predicted exactly where Throck would move. The Vorthak commander followed his training, his patterns, his predictable doctrine. He went exactly where Tae-sung knew he would. The barrage hit the Crimson Mandible directly. Explosions rippled across its hull. Shields collapsed. Armor plating flew off in pieces. Critical systems failed. The mighty flagship went dark, drifting without power. Silence filled the communication channels. Tae-sung had won. Slowly, he brought Sovereign Fang alongside the disabled Crimson Mandible. Through the sensors, he could see the Vorthak crew working frantically to restore power. Emergency lights flickered inside the ship. By the law of right of command, Tae-sung broadcast to all Vorthak vessels, "I claim victory. Commander Throck is defeated. This battle group is now under my command." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Vorthak ships began broadcasting acknowledgement signals. They didn't like it, but their traditions demanded they recognize the victor. A weak transmission came from the Crimson Mandible. Throck's face appeared, covered in dark green blood. You cheated. Used soft flesh tricks. "I used tactics you couldn't predict," Tae-sung said. "That's not cheating. That's called being smart." "The battle group will not truly follow you," Throck spat. "You are not Vorthak. They will mutiny." "Maybe," Tae-sung said. "But right now, by your own laws, I'm in command." He leaned forward in his chair. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to release all prisoners from the Dawn Chorus. Then you're going to repair your ship and leave human space immediately. And if I refuse?" Tae-sung powered up weapons again, targeting the Crimson Mandible's main reactor. "Then I finish what I started. Your crew can evacuate first. I'm not a murderer, but your ship will be destroyed." Throck stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly the Vorthak commander bowed his head. "You have won, human. By our laws I must obey. The prisoners will be released." Over the next hour, Tae-sung watched as the Vorthak transferred everyone from the Dawn Chorus back to their ship. Captain Hee-jin came through last, her face showing a mix of relief and disbelief. When she saw Tae-sung on the communication screen commanding a Vorthak war machine, her mouth fell open. "Tae-sung, what in the stars happened to you?" "Long story, Captain," Tae-sung said, smiling. "I'll explain later. For now, get your people home." The Dawn Chorus began to power up, preparing to leave. But before it could go, a transmission came from several Vorthak ships in the battle group. Officers appeared on Tae-sung's screen, all from different vessels. "Human commander," one said. A female Vorthak with scars across her exoskeleton. Her name was Reshka. "We watched your battle. You fought with honor and skill. We request permission to remain under your command." Tae-sung blinked in surprise. "You want to stay with me?" "The Vorthak Empire has become corrupt," another officer said. His name was Dravok. "We expand without purpose, destroy without reason. But you showed mercy when you could have killed. Cleverness instead of brutality. Perhaps there is a better way," he paused. "We would learn it, if you allow." Tae-sung looked at Jiwoo, who shrugged. "Your choice, buddy. You're the commander now. Sovereign Fang, what do you think?" Tae-sung asked silently.